Fórum de Investimentos Estados Unidos-Arábia Saudita, uma nova era de cooperação.
At the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum, great group of people, the biggest, you got the biggest in the room, but some of the most talented, maybe most importantly, the word talent, successful and innovative business leaders anywhere on the planet. Whether you have come from near or far, we're delighted to have you invest right here in the hottest country anywhere in the world. Every leader is saying the United States we're the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way too. But this has been, according to those that seem to say it, and I will say it, I would never say a thing like that because I want to be very modest. I always want to be modest as I can. They say this has been the best 9 months that any president has ever had. I'd say that's pretty good, right? But we've had a great 9 months. Now we have to do it more than a few more times. We just have to keep it going. We'll keep it going. I want to thank my friend, a great gentleman, Crown Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia, for his bold leadership and deep commitment to the ties between our two countries. Thank you. Thank you. Great gentleman. Yesterday we had a phenomenal visit at the White House celebrating the 80-year bond between the United States and Saudi Arabia. We ended with an unbelievable show last night in a room that was far too small, but the next time you're here, you'll have a much bigger room. It's gonna be much bigger. I made more enemies last night by not, we had 119 people. That was a record for the room. So they've wanted for 150 years. They've been clamoring for a ballroom at the White House, and we're giving them one. We're giving them 1+, and it'll be something. But you'll be here. You'll be among the first, if not the first, if you'd like. You know, we'll work it out. But you had a lot of people that wanted to be there. They really would have witnessed something that was really incredible. The entertainment last night was incredible, including our great opera singer, but including the military, the talent and the military musically is also incredible. So it was great to be with you last night. I think it was something to behold. We officially designated the kingdom yesterday as the major non-NATO ally. That's a big deal. That's actually a very big deal. Great honor. That happens seldom, very seldom, if at all. So I just want to congratulate you on that. That's a sign of trust. We signed a historic strategic defense agreement yesterday also, and that's something that is likewise very rare, and it's a very honored company that you're in. And we're going to be selling Saudi Arabia some of the greatest military equipment ever built. We build the best military equipment in the world by far. That's why we do the most business, including nearly 300 American-made tanks is what you're buying, among many other things, the airplanes, and we're working on getting that approved very quickly. It's already approved, but don't worry. We have to go through a process. The process will take, Elon knows, the process will take about, would you say 24 hours? I think so. You're in good shape, very good shape. The partnership between our two nations is among the most consequential in the entire world, and together the Crown Prince and I are making an alliance stronger and more powerful than it's ever been before. We've had good relationships and frankly not good. You didn't have a good relationship with Barack Hussein Obama. You didn't have a good relationship with Sleepy Joe Biden. But you had a great relationship with me, and now it's as good as it was, and probably even better if you think about it, because we took the dark cloud away from your country. It was called Iran and its nuclear capability, and we obliterated that very quickly and strongly and powerfully. But that was a real cloud over the whole Middle East, and now they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal. They want to see if they can work out a deal with us, and we'll be doing that probably. But that was a terrible cloud that you had to live with for a long time. 22 years they were thinking about doing that. The B-2s. That was even before the B-2s. Those B-2s, what machines they were, they flew in, they were undetectable, and they dropped their payload, and every single bomb hit its exact mark, which was a shaft going deep into the mountain. And every single one of them hit, and it was total obliteration. And then I was criticized by some of the fake news for saying the word obliteration was too strong, perhaps. They had no idea. Nobody saw it. 3 days later, when the Atomic Energy Commission went, they said it was total obliteration, beyond obliteration, they said. But they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. This week, our countries also signed groundbreaking agreements on civil nuclear energy, critical minerals, and artificial intelligence. And I want to congratulate a lot of the great American leaders, business leaders that are in the room. And you'll do a great job for Saudi Arabia and for a lot of other people in the room that are buying your product, taking your product, and using your product. All of that is in addition to the $600 billion investment in the United States that Saudi Arabia announced during my unforgettable visit there last spring. Well, I said, could you try and get that up to $1 trillion? And yesterday, the Crown Prince announced that the number that they'll be investing in the United States is $1 trillion. So that's really an honor. And we just took a picture backstage with some of the great business leaders and some of the great people, friends of mine from your country, and beautiful picture. And while we were taking the picture, I said, could you make it 1.5 trillion? So he's got something to think about. I don't know. We'll get something. I think we'll get something, Scott, right? But many of you in the room are playing a key role in making these projects happen, and we're told that $270 billion in agreements and sales are being signed between dozens of companies, and that's just happening today, $270 billion. That's big stuff. So on behalf of the thousands of American workers who I care about most, I want to thank you for bringing all those jobs and all those great opportunities to America and bringing great wealth to America. We've become a very wealthy country. We have a couple of little things. We're waiting for a decision. We hope that's going to be good, but if it's not, we always find ways, we find ways, but we've done things that nobody thought were possible, and we're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars. Tariffs have been, frankly, the best thing that's ever happened to our country. They've always been used against us, and we never had people that were smart enough to use them in the opposite direction. But now you do, and we have taken in trillions of dollars, and it's been absolutely amazing. We're going to be doing a dividend to the people, low and middle income, moderate income people, of at least $2,000. In addition to that, we'll be paying down debt very substantially. It's the kind of money we're taking in. And really, countries that took advantage of us are no longer taking advantage of us. Some of our friends treated us far worse than our enemies on trade anyway, and we've got that all straightened out. And everybody's happy. They respect us again. It's like one of those things. I think they like us better, and they actually respect us, and it works out much better for us, too. But I especially want to thank our numerous Saudi friends here today, including the ambassador to the United States, a friend of mine, Princess Rima. Thank you very much. Great job. Great representative you have. You sent a good representative. And many distinguished ministers and members of the cabinet, governor of the Public Investment Fund. Where's Yasser? Yasser's here someplace. Sometimes I see him dressed both ways. I don't know. It's cooler that way. I'd dress that way if I could. Yasser's terrific. He's a terrific man, actually. So thank you very much, Yasser. And Secretary Scott Bessent, who's been fantastic. Where's Scott? We're thinking about him for the Fed, but he wants no part of it. He likes being Secretary of the Treasury. I think we'll leave him. So let's cross your name off, right? Officially, right? Remember, you said that. I love the Fed job. To me, it's the easiest job in the world. You play golf for 28, 29 days, then you go and make a little speech, tell everybody, in the case of the current guy, the wrong information because he has no clue. But if you have good instincts, it's all based on instincts. I see they want to hire 3,000 economists, 3,000, to report to the Fed chairman. What are they going to do? Take all this information? 3,000 economists. That's why they're spending $4 billion on renovating a building that should have cost $25 million to do. They should have spent $25 million. They're building a basement into the Potomac River. I could have told them that's very tough to do and it doesn't work and it's very expensive. But they're up to $4 billion headed by this clown. But we have 3,000, think of it. They want to hire 3,000 economists. So they took a poll and they interviewed 71 people. And of the 71 people, 2 people got it right. 2 people. One was a great economist whose name I won't tell you because I don't like him personally, but he is good. And the other one that got it the most right was a man named President Donald J. Trump. Do you believe it? And I didn't have an economist. Well, I had Scott. But we got it right, didn't we? Huh? We got everything right. Doug Burgum, where's Doug? Will you please drill a little bit faster? Between him and I'll tell you, you and Chris was great on television, and he's setting records. They're setting records, but I'll never be satisfied. Drill, we got elected. Drill we must, I called it. Drill, baby, drill. Con Edison, a great utility from New York many years ago, they used to have a sign, drill we must and dig we must. So when they were digging in a road, they'd have a sign, dig we must. Well, now we're putting those utilities to shame because I'm allowing all of those AI plants that are being built to build their own electric generating force, and they're building them like nobody's ever seen, and they're coming up with ideas and new contraptions like nobody's ever seen. And this way they can't blame me for not producing electric. I said, you produce it yourself. And actually they didn't believe I was saying that because nobody ever thought of a thing like that. They're building a massive plant. They were going to hook it up to a 200-year-old grid. And that wasn't going to work because there's no way of doing that. No way we could have done that. And I had the idea. This was my idea, approved by a couple of people. I said, why wouldn't that happen? They're building a plant for $50 billion. If you build a shopping center for $50 million, it's okay. It's not a bad shopping center. 500 million, you're talking about top of the line. 50 billion. So when it was first explained they're spending 50 billion, I said, no, you mean 50 million. No, sir, we mean 50 billion. And then I saw some of them that were the size of Manhattan. I said, they did mean 50 billion. And I said, well, what you're going to do is with that, how would you like to build your own electric generating plant? And they looked at me like I was crazy because something like that, they really didn't understand it. The smart guys, they didn't understand it. They said to me at the next meeting, sir, the biggest problem we have will be electricity. I said, you don't understand. I told you last week, you're going to build your own. I'm giving you approval to build your own plant, and you will be approved within a period of 2 to 3 weeks. It used to take 20 years prior to termination. In other words, you would wait 20 years and you wouldn't make it. You'd be voted down 5 to 4. I said, we're getting you approved in a 2-week, 3-week period. In fact, Lee Zeldin, one of the superstars of this administration, I said, Lee, if it's oil and gas, get them approved in 2 weeks. If it's nuclear, add another week. Because some are going nuclear, and they're doing, be careful. They better be careful, but they are going to be careful. They're the greatest people in the world. So now they come back and they actually believed it, and now they're being approved rapidly, and we have things being built, the likes of which nobody's ever seen. We're leading China by a lot in AI. And we're also bringing auto plants in from Canada and from Mexico. They took them, and they're all coming back. They're all coming back because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, they like the fact that we won the election by a landslide on November 5th. That helped. But they're all coming back, and they're coming back from Germany and Japan. Toyota just announced, as you know, $10 billion worth of new plants. They just announced it last week. I went to various countries, and Japan was one of them. And Toyota's coming in with a $10 billion investment in 4 or 5 plants. Now, we're going to be more advanced than we were. So we led the car industry like 100% 50 years ago. We led the chip industry 30, 40 years ago. We had 100%.